Good morning, dear friend. As the first light of dawn breaks across the horizon, the world around you slowly awakens. The sky, once heavy with night, now blushes with the promise of a new day. This sacred moment of morning, when silence still lingers and the air feels untouched, is more than the turning of time. It is a gift, a gentle invitation from God to pause. Breathe, and remember that you are not walking alone. The morning is holy because it reminds us that darkness never lasts forever. That no matter how long the night has been, light always returns. Perhaps you are listening today with a weary heart. You might be carrying a burden that feels too heavy to place on anyone else's shoulders. Maybe you have spent nights unable to sleep, thoughts circling like restless winds, whispering fears of what might happen next. There are people who rise each day not with joy, but with dread, knowing that the pain of yesterday still lingers in their chest. One person may grieve a loved one they have lost. Another may be afraid of the uncertainty that tomorrow might bring. And another may simply feel invisible in a world that seems to pass by without noticing. I think of a woman who once shared her story. After months of battling illness, she sat in her room with the blinds closed, sunlight trying to seep through, but never reaching her heart. She told me she felt like a cracked vessel, broken beyond repair, wondering if God still heard her. She had prayed but found silence. She had hoped but tasted disappointment. Her mornings were not filled with gratitude, but with tears. And yet, in her quiet honesty, something remarkable happened. She admitted her weakness and allowed a simple prayer to rise from her lips. God, give me strength. That fragile plea, whispered in the middle of her despair, became the seed of transformation. This is why mornings are so important. They are not simply the start of a physical day, but the doorway to a spiritual renewal. Each sunrise is a symbol that God is not finished with you. Each breath you take reminds you that life still has purpose, and every prayer, even the smallest one, carries weight in the heart of God. What looks like weakness is often the soil where true strength is born. What feels like the end of hope can become the beginning of faith. This prayer journey that we are about to take together across 24 chapters is not a path of lofty words or unreachable ideals. It is a pilgrimage through the very real valleys of fear, loss, waiting, and discouragement, leading us step by step into the mountain of God's strength and peace. We will begin in moments of awareness and gradually rise into courage, into joy, into unshakable trust. Every chapter is a step forward. Every word is a hand reaching toward the one who never lets go. Faith does not erase our battles, but it transforms how we walk through them. Prayer does not guarantee that storms will disappear, but it assures us that we will not face them alone. As Scripture says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Those words are not distant poetry. They are living promises. They are reminders that when your hands are trembling, God's hands are steady. When your strength fades, His strength increases. So today, I invite you to open your heart. Do not be afraid to bring your pain, your doubts, or your questions. Do not hold back tears, for God receives them as prayers. Do not think you must be perfect before you pray, for it is in your imperfection that His power is most clearly revealed. This time of morning devotion is not about impressing anyone with words. It is about honest conversation with the Creator, who already knows you fully and loves you deeply. As we begin this journey, imagine yourself standing at the edge of a quiet river at sunrise. The water flows steadily, reflecting the colors of dawn. You dip your hand into the stream, and the coolness awakens your spirit. This river represents the presence of God, always moving, always cleansing, always carrying life. You are invited to step closer, to drink deeply, to let His presence strengthen you for the day ahead. Dear friend, the path before us is long, but it is filled with promise. Each chapter will lead us deeper into the mystery of divine strength. Together, we will face the reality of our weakness, but we will also rise in the assurance of God's power. Open your ears to hear, open your heart to receive, and open your spirit to be renewed. The morning is holy, and this is your moment to step into a conversation with the One who gives life. Let us walk forward into this sacred journey, confident that as we pray, as we listen, and as we surrender, we will be strengthened beyond what we could ever imagine. Dear Heavenly Father, as this morning light begins to spread across the sky, I come before you with a heart that feels so tired, with a body that feels heavy, and with a spirit that is longing for rest. The night behind me was filled with many thoughts, fears, and memories that would not let me sleep. I tried to push them away, but they returned like waves that never stop crashing on the shore. I feel worn out before the day has even begun, and yet I know this early hour is where you meet me, where you whisper that I am not alone, and where you remind me that even in weakness, I am still held by you. I confess that sometimes it is hard to rise from my bed, hard to lift my head, hard to face what waits beyond my door. The world feels too loud, responsibilities too many, the weight on my shoulders too much. I do not come to you pretending to be strong. I come to you as I am, fragile and uncertain. I come with hands that feel empty and with a heart that aches for your touch. I come believing that you see me even when no one else does, that you hear the faintest whisper of my soul, and that you know the heaviness I carry better than I can put into words. This morning, Lord, I ask that you meet me here in the silence of dawn. Meet me in the place where shadows of the night still linger, where I am caught between yesterday's grief and today's unknown path. Teach me to breathe deeply of your presence. Teach me to let go of the fear that chases me and the regret that clings to me. Teach me that your mercies are new every morning, and that this sunrise is proof that you have not abandoned me, proof that you still have a purpose for me, even when I cannot see it clearly. I think of myself like a tree that has stood through a long winter. Branches bare, roots cold in the soil, waiting for warmth to return. The tree cannot create springtime. It can only wait for the sun and the rain. In the same way, I cannot create the strength I long for. I can only wait on you and trust that you will breathe life back into me. Your word tells me that you give power to the weak, that you increase strength for those who have none. I hold on to that truth this morning, not because I feel strong, but because I believe you are strong within me. Dear Lord, I lift before you every piece of my weariness. I lay down the anxiety that wakes me in the night. I place into your hands the disappointments that still sting, the losses that still ache, the failures that still whisper shame. I give you the questions I cannot answer and the battles I cannot fight on my own. I give you the parts of me that are too broken to mend by myself. And as I lay these things before you, I ask that you exchange them for your peace, your comfort, and your strength. Remind me that my weakness is not the end of my story. Remind me that the cracks in my heart are the places where your light can shine through. Remind me that even when I stumble, I am not forsaken. Help me to stand again, not with the strength of pride or the strength of stubbornness, but with the strength that comes from knowing you are by my side. Lift my head so I can see beyond the weight of today. Lift my eyes so I can notice the beauty still around me. The sunlight breaking through, the air I breathe, the gentle reminders that you are near. Father, I pray for the courage to step into this day, even if my steps are small and shaky. I pray for the grace to be kind to myself when I feel I cannot do enough. I pray for the faith to trust that even in my weakness, your purpose is unfolding. Carry me when I feel unable to move forward. Hold me steady when I feel like falling. Speak softly to my spirit when the noise of the world is too much to bear. Let me know that I am never out of your reach, never beyond your care, never forgotten. As the sun climbs higher and the morning becomes brighter, let my heart also rise. Let me find strength in remembering that I am loved, that I am chosen, that I am not defined by my exhaustion, but by your faithfulness. Let me walk into this day with a quiet confidence, not in myself, but in you. For though I am weary, you are strong. Though I am weak, you are steady. Though I feel small, you are great. And in that truth, I find the courage to take another breath, another step, another prayer. Father, stay close to me in these hours ahead. Guide my mind away from despair and fill it with hope. Guard my heart from fear and fill it with peace. Strengthen my spirit so that even in moments of weakness, I will remember that your grace is enough for me. Let this day be carried not by my effort, but by your presence. Let my story today be one of leaning on you, trusting you, and finding in you the strength I could not find in myself. Father, as my heart moves from the quiet weariness of yesterday's night into the fragile hope of this new morning, I find myself leaning more fully upon you. In the first light, I realize again how little strength I have of my own. I am like a child learning to walk, unsteady, arms reaching for someone greater to hold me up. The thought of stepping into the hours ahead without your presence feels unbearable. For I know now more clearly that without you, I can do nothing that lasts, nothing that heals, nothing that gives life. Father, I look back on the times when I tried to rely only on my own ability, on my own plans, on my own cleverness. Those moments always left me empty. They left me chasing answers I could not find, carrying loads that bent me low, speaking words that could not comfort even myself. The more I tried to prove I was strong enough, the more I discovered my limits. But here, in this prayer, I am learning that admitting my limits is not failure. It is the beginning of true freedom. It is the doorway where your power enters and fills what I cannot fill. So today, Lord, I declare openly that I am dependent upon you. My breath depends on you. My thoughts depend on you. My future depends on you. Everything that matters, everything that holds value, everything that lasts longer than a moment comes from your hand. I bring to you not the image of someone who has it all together, but the truth of someone who is small and fragile. I bring to you my trembling and my hunger, and I ask that you hold me, guide me, and supply me with what only you can give. I picture myself as a vessel made of clay, fragile and ordinary, placed in the hands of a master potter. Left alone, the vessel would crack, collapse, or be swept away by time. But in your hands, even what seems unremarkable is shaped into something strong and useful. The clay does not instruct the potter. The clay does not resist the wheel. It simply yields. And in that surrender, it is transformed. Lord, I long to yield in that way today. Take every part of me and press it into the form that pleases you. There are voices in the world that tell me to be self-sufficient, to never admit weakness, to carry burdens silently. But you invite me into a different way, a way where strength is not about pretending, but about depending. And so I let down the armor that I have carried, the shield of pride that has kept me from crying out, the mask that says I am fine when inside I am breaking. I let it all fall away in this moment, for I cannot hold myself together without you. Father, I ask you to fill me with the courage to live dependent, not ashamed of it, but grateful for it. Give me the grace to trust when I do not see results. Give me the humility to lean on your wisdom when mine runs dry. Give me the faith to believe that your strength will hold me when I feel the ground giving way beneath my feet. Teach me that the safest place to be is not standing tall on my own, but kneeling low in surrender before you. This morning I lift my eyes to the heavens, not to search for answers in the clouds, but remember that my help comes from you, just as the sun rises without my command, just as the tide moves without my power, so your promises unfold without my control. You do not ask me to make the world spin. You ask me to trust the one who holds the world in his hands, and so I rest in that truth today. Father, I confess that sometimes I am afraid to depend fully on you, afraid that if I let go, I will fall, afraid that if I wait, nothing will come, afraid that if I trust, I will be disappointed. Yet even in these fears, I bring myself to you. I whisper that I want to depend on you more than I depend on myself. And I ask that you meet me in this place of both fear and desire. Strengthen me not to hide from you, but to lean into you with honesty. Knowing you already see the conflict inside of me, I pray that as I walk into this day, my dependence will become my strength. Let every step I take be guided by your hand. Let every decision I make be filtered through your wisdom. Let every word I speak carry the echo of your love. May people around me see not a person who is flawless, but a person who is carried. May my life be a quiet testimony that dependence on God is not weakness, but the deepest kind of strength. Father, I give you all that I am, all that I hope for, and all that I fear. Without you I am nothing, but with you I have all that I need. Without you I stumble, but with you I find footing. Without you I am lost, but with you I am home. Let me stay in this truth throughout the day, never drifting far from the awareness that I belong to you, that I breathe because of you, and that I live only through the strength you provide. Father, as I continue this prayer from the place of dependence, my heart turns to memory. I cannot walk forward without looking back at the steps where you have already carried me. Though I often feel unsteady, I realize that every season of my life bears the quiet evidence of your hand. Even when I did not recognize it, even when I doubted, even when I thought I was alone, you were already writing chapters of grace. And so this morning I choose to remember, because memory becomes the anchor that steadies me in the storms of today. Father, I recall the days when I was at the edge of despair, thinking there was no way forward, and then a door opened that I could never have created. I remember the nights when fear pressed heavy against me, and then peace descended like a gentle covering, unexplainable yet undeniable. I remember the prayers I once whispered with trembling, later answered in ways far beyond what I imagined. These memories are not distant stories. They are reminders that you have been faithful before, and therefore you will be faithful again. I think of how easily I forget. In moments of pressure, I act as though I have never seen your goodness, as though I have never received an answer. But when I pause to recall, when I allow gratitude to surface, I realize that I am surrounded by testimonies. Every breath I take is a gift, every friendship that has sustained me, every provision that arrived in perfect timing, every narrow escape from harm, each one is a mark of your care. Father, let me not dismiss these blessings as chance. Let me see them for what they truly are, the evidence of a faithful God. In this remembering, my heart grows lighter. I see myself not as someone forgotten, but as someone carried. I see my story not as a random sequence of events, but as a thread woven by your wisdom. I see my past not as a chain of mistakes, but as a canvas where your mercy has been painted again and again. And in that vision, I find courage to believe that what you began you will finish, that what you promised you will fulfill, that what you planted you will bring to harvest in its time. Lord, I recall moments when others told me I would not endure, when circumstances seemed too strong, when the mountain before me appeared immovable. Yet here I am, breathing, praying, alive in this new dawn, not because of my ability, because you were my defender when I did not even know how to fight. You were my shelter when I could not find safety. You were my healer when pain seemed endless. You were my provider when resources ran out. Every memory becomes a testimony that strengthens me for this day. Father, I do not want to remember only the great miracles, but also the quiet mercies, the gentle comfort of a friend's voice, the sudden calm that entered my heart in the middle of chaos, the way a verse of scripture appeared at the exact moment I needed it, the way a song rose up in me when I had no words to pray. These are not small things. They are sacred reminders that you are attentive to every detail, that you care not only about my survival but about my joy, my peace, and my restoration. So this morning I choose to build an altar of memory in my heart, not made of stone, but made of gratitude. I lay down reminders of the past, not to live in them, but to draw strength from them. Just as your people once carried stones from the river as a sign of your deliverance, I carry in my spirit the recollection of your goodness. Let these memories remind me that if you were faithful yesterday, you will not abandon me today. Father, let my memory silence the lies of fear. Let it quiet the voice that says I am forgotten. Let it drown out the doubt that tells me I am left to walk alone. When I feel weak, remind me that I have already endured seasons thought I could not survive. When I feel poor, remind me of the countless ways you have already provided. When I feel lost, remind me of the many times you have guided me back to the path. Let every recollection be a light that points forward to your continued presence. As I breathe in this morning air, I give thanks for what you have done. As I step into the unknown of today, I hold to what I know of yesterday. You are the same God who lifted me then, and you are the same God who will carry me now. My memories are not just nostalgia. They are proof of covenant. They are whispers of continuity. They are the rhythm of faith beating against the noise of fear. Father, let me carry these memories like a song within me, rising when I falter, strengthening me when I waver, and reminding me when I forget. Let my soul never tire of recalling your goodness. Let this remembrance become the steady ground beneath my feet as I continue walking into this day with trust. Father, as I remember your past faithfulness, I feel my spirit turning from gratitude toward the mystery of how you place strength within me even when I cannot see it. Yesterday's mercies remind me that deep inside, beyond what others can notice, you have built a foundation that does not crumble. I often look at myself and think I am fragile, that I have nothing left to hold me steady. But in this morning light, I realize there is a quiet strength you have already planted in the hidden places of my heart. Father, it is easy for me to believe that strength must always be visible, that it must shout loudly or stand boldly for everyone to see. Yet you show me that true strength is different. It does not always shine in the open. Sometimes it is silent, unseen, waiting beneath the surface like roots buried in the soil. When storms rage, people may only see branches shaking, but beneath the ground the roots cling deeply, drawing life that cannot be stolen. So it is with my spirit. What you have planted within me holds firm, even when everything above ground feels uncertain. I confess that I have often underestimated what you placed in me. I have called myself weak, when in truth I was being sustained by a power not my own. I have felt invisible, not realizing that hidden within were seeds of resilience waiting for their season to bloom. Lord, teach me not to despise what is unseen. Teach me that what the world overlooks may be the very place you are at work most powerfully. This morning I ask you to awaken that hidden strength. Breathe life into the parts of me I forget exist. Stir my heart to rise in courage, not because others expect it, but because you have already given it. Let the strength you formed in me become real in this day, not through pride or noise, but through quiet endurance, through gentle persistence, through unwavering hope. Father, I think of the many lives in Scripture that revealed hidden strength at unexpected times. There was the shepherd boy who carried only a sling and a stone, yet stood before a giant because his confidence was not in himself but in you. There was the widow with almost nothing to give, yet her small offering became great in your eyes because it came from trust. Their strength was not measured by appearance, but by what was rooted in their hearts. Let me walk in that same truth today. Remind me, Lord, that hidden strength does not mean silent despair. It means I can carry peace even when storms surround me. It means I can walk steadily even when the ground beneath me shakes. It means I can choose kindness even when bitterness would be easier. These quiet victories are not noticed by many, but they are precious to you. They are the fruit of the unseen power you place within me. Father, I long for a heart that believes in what cannot be measured. I long for courage that does not depend on applause, for endurance that does not require recognition, for faith that stands even in silence. Teach me to value what is hidden, because what is hidden is often what lasts. The unseen strength of the heart carries me further than outward displays ever could. So in this morning prayer, I ask you to deepen my roots. Dig them into the soil of your promises. Let my unseen places drink from the river of your Spirit. Let my hidden heart beat steady with the rhythm of your faithfulness. And when life presses against me, when doubts try to shake me, remind me that beneath it all lies a strength no circumstance can take away. Father, as I rise into this day, I want to carry this hidden strength with me, not as something I must show off, but as something that quietly carries me through conversations, through decisions, through moments where I am tempted to give up. Let the calm of your presence be my shield. Let the resolve you form in me be my anchor. Let the assurance of your love be the quiet strength that moves me from one step to the next. Father, help me to treasure this gift of unseen power. Let me not despise small beginnings or hidden places. Let me trust that what is invisible to the world is visible to you, and that in the secret chambers of my heart you are shaping strength that will endure long after today. Father, as I hold on to the hidden strength you have placed within me, I must also face the shadows that rise against my heart. Strength may dwell quietly inside, but fear still whispers loudly around me. It creeps in when I least expect it, in moments when I feel unprepared, in places where the unknown stretches out before me like a valley I must cross. This morning I bring to you not only my gratitude for what you have planted deep within, but also my trembling for the fears that still linger in the corners of my soul. Father, fear has a way of making itself larger than it truly is. It magnifies what could go wrong. It repeats lies until they sound like truth. It tells me that I am defenseless, that I will not make it through, that I am standing alone. Yet even as I feel its weight pressing against me, I know that fear is not greater than you. I know that what feels overwhelming to me is still under your control. I know that though the valley looks long and dark, you are already walking beside me. I confess, Lord, that there are times I let fear dictate my steps. I avoid what you have called me to do. I shrink back when I should stand firm. I choose silence when I should speak with courage. I pretend to be strong while inside I am shaking. But even in my confession, I sense your gentle voice reminding me that you have not given me a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. This truth steadies me in ways I cannot explain. Father, as I walk through the valleys that stretch ahead, I ask that you teach me not to run from fear, but to face it with you. Let me see that the valley is not a punishment, but a place where courage grows. Let me trust that the shadows cannot consume me, because your light guides my steps. Let me remember that the echo of fear is always weaker than the voice of your promise. I think of those who walked through valleys before me. The young man who stood before lions because he would not compromise his devotion. The prophet who heard threats but still proclaimed your truth. The disciples who trembled in a storm until they saw you speak and calm the waters. Their stories remind me that valleys are not empty. They are filled with the presence of a faithful God who never abandons his people. This morning I ask for the courage to breathe deeply, even when fear tightens my chest. I ask for the strength to take the next step, even when the path is not fully visible. I ask for the faith to believe that beyond the valley, there is a meadow. Beyond the shadow, there is light. Beyond the trembling, there is peace. And while I wait to see it, let me remember that even within the valley itself, you are already my comfort. Father, I know that fear often disguises itself as caution, as wisdom, even as protection. Yet you call me to discern the difference between prudence and paralysis. Teach me to listen to your guidance above the noise of worry. Teach me to rest in the assurance that when you are with me, I do not need to be enslaved to fear. Teach me that courage is not the absence of trembling, but the choice to walk forward with trembling hands held in yours. I pray that in the moments when fear rises suddenly, I will pause to remember your nearness. When thoughts swirl like heavy winds, let my mind be anchored by your promises. When my body feels the weight of anxiety, let my spirit be lifted by the certainty that I am not abandoned. When my voice falters, let my soul whisper your name until calmness returns. Father, let the valley of fear become the place where I learn to trust you more deeply. Let it teach me that my safety does not depend on circumstances, but on your presence. Let it shape me into one who carries peace, even when surrounded by uncertainty. Let it remind me that the ground I walk on is never too dark for your light to shine. Father, as I rise from the valley where fear once pressed against me, I now find myself in another place of testing. It is not the storm that shakes me, nor the shadows that frighten me, but the silence that unsettles my heart. Father, I come to you in this morning hour aware that waiting is its own kind of burden. It stretches across my days like a road with no visible end, and it teaches me patience in ways I never thought I needed to learn. I confess, Lord, that waiting often feels heavier than fear itself. Fear at least demands a response, but waiting asks me to remain still when everything in me longs to move forward. I look for answers, but they do not come. I pray for clarity, but the sky remains clouded. I ask for direction, but the map stays folded in your hands. And yet I know that in this silence, you are still working. You have not abandoned me. You are shaping me in the unseen, even when my eyes cannot perceive the outcome. Father, I admit that I grow impatient quickly. I measure time by minutes and hours, but you measure it by seasons and eternity. I want solutions to come swiftly, but you desire that my heart be strengthened slowly. I want to skip the pause, but you invite me to dwell in it. Teach me not to despise this stillness. Teach me to see it not as punishment, but as preparation. Teach me to trust that while I wait, you are weaving together what I cannot yet understand. In this season of waiting, I remember that others before me endured long delays. There was one who wandered through wilderness years before stepping into promise. There was one who prayed faithfully in the temple, fasting and hoping until her eyes finally saw salvation. Their strength was not found in quick answers, but in steady devotion. Their faith was not proven by what they received, but by how they waited. Lord, let their example give me courage now. I ask, Father, that you guard my heart in this place of pause. Protect me from bitterness that says you have forgotten me. Protect me from despair that whispers nothing will ever change. Protect me from distraction that tempts me to chase false solutions. Instead, fill me with perseverance. Fill me with quiet trust. Fill me with hope that refuses to die even when days stretch longer than expected. Lord, I want to use this waiting not as wasted time, but as sacred ground. Let me worship here in the stillness. Let me pray with deeper honesty. Let me serve with humility, even when I cannot see the fruit. Let me grow roots in this hidden soil, so that when the answer finally comes, I will be strong enough to carry it. Waiting may feel like delay, but in your hands it becomes transformation. Father, I surrender the timeline I hold so tightly. I release the deadlines I set for myself. I lay down the urgency that drives me to demand results. I choose instead to rest in your perfect timing, knowing that what you prepare is always better than what I would rush to create. Help me to believe that every moment of waiting is held in your wisdom, and that no tear, no sigh, no prayer offered in this season is ever overlooked. I pray that my heart would not grow numb in the waiting. Let hope stay alive within me. Let my spirit stay tender toward your presence. Let my eyes stay open for the subtle ways you reassure me that you are near. Even if I do not yet see the full picture, let me notice the small signs of your care, the strength to rise each morning, the kindness of those around me, the peace that surprises me in quiet moments. These are reminders that even while I wait, you are faithful. Father, let this waiting teach me endurance that no quick answer could ever provide. Let it refine my trust until it is unshakable. Let it strip away illusions of control and anchor me more deeply in your promises. And when the day finally comes, when the answer arrives, let me not forget what I learned here in the silence. Let me carry forward the lessons of patience, the depth of devotion, and the confidence that even when I could not see the way, you were guiding me still. Father, as I remain in this place of waiting, where silence teaches me to trust and patience stretches my faith, I now feel you drawing me deeper still into surrender. Not the kind that gives up in defeat, but the kind that lays down everything, not out of weakness, but with courage. I have learned that waiting is not just about time passing, but about what I let go of while I wait. And this morning, I realize that true strength is born not from holding tighter, but from releasing what I cannot control. Father, I come to you carrying many things, desires, fears, plans, and questions. Some of these I have held onto for so long that they feel like part of who I am. I grip them because they give me a sense of direction or comfort. But deep down I know that some of what I carry is too heavy. I know that some of the things I am trying to protect are actually keeping me from receiving what you have in store. And so today, I bring them into the light. I open my hands not with certainty, but with honesty. I confess that surrender is not easy. My heart often clings to the familiar, even when it no longer brings peace. I want answers more than I want alignment. I want control more than I want communion. But you call me to trust, not just when the path is clear, but especially when it is not. You remind me that surrender is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of transformation, and so I ask for the strength to yield what I cannot fix, to release what I cannot redeem on my own. Lord, show me what it means to truly let go. Let it begin with the thoughts that burden me, the ones that run wild in the quiet hours, telling me that I am falling behind, that I must do more, that I must be stronger. Help me silence those voices by placing them into your care. Show me how to surrender the parts of my identity I have tried to shape apart from you. Let me no longer measure my worth by my productivity, my status, or the approval of others, but by the truth that I am yours. Father, I surrender relationships that I have tried to control, believing I could protect others from pain or guide their path with my own wisdom. Help me entrust them to you, knowing you love them far more than I ever could. I surrender outcomes I have anxiously waited for, and the timelines I have tried to force. I lay down my striving and rest in the knowledge what you build lasts, while what I force often crumbles. I think of the one who knelt in a garden, overwhelmed with sorrow, and still said, "Not my will but yours be done." His surrender was not weakness, it was power submitted. It was strength refined through obedience. Let that same spirit rise in me today. Not resignation, but reverent release. Not defeat, but dependence. Let me surrender in practical ways. Teach me to pause when I would rather push. Teach me to listen when I would rather speak. Teach me to wait when I would rather act. Let my surrender be visible in my posture, my choices, my tone, and my pace. Let it be the rhythm of my spirit, unhurried, unclenched, unworried. Father, I surrender not only the hard things, but even the good ones that I have made ultimate. Dreams that once came from you can become burdens when I place them above you. Help me hold loosely what I love deeply. Help me remember that surrender is not about losing, but about placing things into better hands, into your hands. I pray that my surrender would become the soil where deeper faith can grow. Let this not be a one-time moment, but a daily rhythm of laying down and rising up. Each morning, let me bring my heart back to the altar, not in shame, but in longing. I do not surrender because I am giving up. I surrender because I am giving in to something greater than myself. Father, let this act of surrender become a place of quiet victory. Let it become the gateway to peace that no striving can earn. Let it become the wellspring of strength that no effort can produce. Let it open space within me where your spirit can dwell freely, where your will can be formed gently, and where your joy can rise steadily. Father, as I learn to surrender what I cannot hold and yield what I cannot control, I begin to recognize how much I need others along the way. In the stillness of personal prayer, I am drawn to the quiet truth that faith was never meant to be lived alone. Just as surrender makes room in my heart for you to move, it also softens the walls I build around myself and opens my life to the strength of community. This morning, Father, I thank you for the people who carry me when I forget how to stand, for the voices that remind me who I am when fear makes me forget, for the simple presence of others who reflect your love back to me. Lord, I admit that sometimes I try to carry too much on my own. I tell myself I should be strong enough, that asking for help is weakness, that no one would understand anyway. But you did not design me to be an island. You created us to live connected, to grow side by side, to lift one another up, to pray when the other cannot find the words. I now see that part of surrender is accepting the grace that flows through other people. Their faith strengthens mine. Their hope lights a fire in my spirit. Their prayers reach places my own voice struggles to reach. Father, thank you for the sacred gift of shared burdens. Thank you for those who walk beside me, not to fix what I face, but to be present in it. Thank you for friends who check in when they sense something is wrong, for quiet encouragers whose words come like healing rain, for companions of the soul who do not rush me through my pain, but stay beside me while I walk through it. These are not ordinary relationships, they are holy connections, touched by your spirit, shaped by shared stories, and marked by a love that echoes your own. I pray today for those in my life who are struggling. Some speak openly, but others hide their pain behind brave smiles. Some are near, and some are distant in ways I cannot reach. Strengthen them, Father, in the places I cannot go. Speak to them in the moments I cannot see. Let my prayers become part of the support that holds them up, and when I feel too small to help, remind me that even quiet intercession is powerful in your hands. Lord, show me how to love people well, not just when it is convenient or comfortable, but when it requires attention, time, or selflessness. Teach me to listen more than I speak, to serve more than I expect, to honor more than I demand. Let my life reflect your generosity, not only in words but in presence. Let my eyes see those who are overlooked. Let my hands be willing to lift. Let my heart remain soft even when love costs more than I anticipated. I remember the story of friends who carried one man across a crowded place, lifted him to a rooftop, and lowered him down just to place him before healing. They did not seek recognition. They did not wait for a better moment. They saw a need and responded with faith in action. Let me be that kind of friend. Father, let me carry others toward you when they are too tired to walk. Let my faith make a way for healing to find them. And when I am the one being carried, when I feel exposed, when I am the one who needs help, give me the humility to receive it without shame. Remind me that strength is not only found in helping others, but also in letting others help me. Remind me that community is not built on performance, but on presence. That it is okay to be weak in the arms of those who love with grace. Dear Heavenly Father, I pray for deeper connection among those who follow you. Let walls of pride and fear fall so that love can grow stronger. Let misunderstandings be softened by forgiveness. Let competition give way to encouragement. Let our faith be not just a private journey, but a shared song, where different voices blend into something more beautiful than one alone. Teach us to bear one another's burdens as you bore ours. Teach us to rejoice together and to weep without rushing toward solutions. Make us a people who stay not just when things are easy, but when life grows complicated. May our communities be known not for perfection, but for mercy, not for appearances, but for honesty, not for numbers, but for hearts that reflect the kindness of Christ. Father, let the strength I receive from others be passed on through me. Let me never hoard compassion or withhold encouragement. What is poured into my spirit overflow freely into the lives of those around me. And if today someone needs comfort, let them find it in my words. If someone needs prayer, let them hear it from my voice. If someone feels forgotten, let my actions say clearly that they are seen, valued, and deeply loved. Father, as I give thanks for the gift of community and the strength that flows through connection, I also feel you calling me into a deeper trust, one that does not rely on what I can see or fully understand, while others may walk beside me. There are paths that I alone must take with you. Some places of faith are quiet, unmarked, and uncertain, and it is in these places, Father, that I ask you to teach me how to walk with courage that goes beyond sight. I confess that I often want signs before I move. I long for certainty, for clarity, for the kind of proof that quiets every question. But faith was never meant to be built on what is visible. You ask me to trust not because I see where the road leads, but because I know who walks it with me. So this morning, Lord, I open my heart to a courage that rises not from visible assurance, but from the whisper of your presence. Father, there are moments when I hesitate because I cannot see how things will work out. I delay because I do not know the outcome. I freeze because the step before me is covered in fog. But even in those moments, something deep within me stirs a quiet nudge reminding me obedience is not about guarantees. It is about believing that your promises remain true, even when the path disappears beneath my feet. I think of the centurion who came to you, trusting not in ritual, but in a word. He believed healing could come without evidence. That transformation could begin even before he saw results. His courage was not loud or dramatic. It was rooted in quiet trust. Let that kind of courage take shape in me. The kind that does not wait for feelings to align or logic to agree. The kind that moves because you said to move. Lord, I ask for vision that reaches beyond what my eyes can comprehend. Let me see with the eyes of faith, which are not fooled by circumstances or delayed outcomes. Let me hear your voice louder than the voices of doubt. Let me believe in what I cannot yet touch, trusting that you are already working behind the veil of what I cannot see. Father, strengthen me to take steps that do not always make sense to those around me. Help me obey even when it costs me comfort. Help me speak even when silence feels safer. Help me move forward even when standing still feels easier. Let my courage be marked not by recklessness, but by the steady conviction that if you are calling, then you are also going ahead of me. In this season, there are decisions I must make without knowing all the answers. There are prayers I continue to pray even when change feels far away. There are hopes I still hold on to, even though nothing has shifted yet. And so I ask for holy courage, the kind that is not loud or showy, but firm and unwavering. Let me stand not because the outcome is certain, but because you are faithful. Dear Heavenly Father, I also pray for others who are walking through unseen places, for those stepping into new beginnings without clear direction, for those trusting for healing without visible progress, for those believing for restoration even while silence lingers. Strengthen their courage too. Let them know they are not walking alone. Remind them that the one who parts seas and speaks through stillness is walking right beside them. I ask you to guard my heart from fear disguised as wisdom, from caution that is really rooted in self-protection, from analysis that becomes avoidance. Let discernment guide me, yes, but not doubt. Let wisdom walk with me, but not worry. Let courage carry me not because I know everything, but because I know you. Father, remind me that many of your greatest works began in places where nothing looked certain. Walls fell because people walked in silence. Waters parted because someone stepped in first. Prison doors opened in the middle of praise. You move not after everything is clear, but often when all I have is a quiet yes. Teach me to live with that kind of yes strong, still, and full of trust. Let my courage today show up in small ways, in the choice to try again, in the willingness to forgive when the wound still aches, in the decision to keep believing even when doubt whispers loud. Let it show up in the words I speak, the posture I hold, and the way I carry unseen hope into places that need light. Father, this morning I do not ask for perfect understanding. I ask for deeper courage, not the kind that waits for the fog to lift, but the kind that keeps walking even while it lingers, not the kind that demands guarantees, but the kind that trusts you with the unknown. Let my faith be bold, not because I see the whole path, but because I know the one who lights the next step. Father, as I continue walking with the kind of courage that does not depend on what I see, I now find myself standing in places where choices must be made not just between right and wrong, but between truth and comfort, between loyalty and convenience, between conviction and compromise. And in these moments, Father, I ask you to strengthen me with integrity that does not bend under pressure. Give me a heart that resists the slow drift away from what is holy, even when the pull feels quiet and almost reasonable. It is not always the obvious temptations that threaten me, Lord. Sometimes it is the subtle ones, the softened truths, the lowered standards, the quiet excuses I whisper to myself when I want to avoid discomfort. It is the decision to stay silent when I should speak, to conform when I should stand out, to blend in when you have called me to be set apart. These moments do not announce themselves as battles, but they are. And I need your strength to recognize them for what they are. Father, I have learned that compromise rarely begins with a loud denial. It often begins in small concessions, a thought unchecked, a motive left unexamined, a boundary pushed just a little further, and before long, I find myself far from where I started, wondering how I got here. So this morning, I ask you to be my guardrail. Keep my spirit alert to every subtle erosion of truth. Let your word be the standard I live by, not the shifting winds of culture or the fear of disapproval. I think of those who stood firm in the face of overwhelming pressure. Young men who chose fire over bowing to false gods. Prophets who spoke truth even when it cost them safety. Disciples who followed even when it led to rejection. Their strength was not pride, it was devotion. Their resistance was not rebellion, it was obedience. Let that same spirit live in me. Not to make me arrogant, but to make me anchored. Father, I do not want to be someone who obeys only when it is easy. I want to be faithful when it costs me something. I want to say no to what is false, even when saying yes would make life simpler. I want to honor you with the choices I make in private, the ones no one applauds. The ones no one sees, because that is where integrity is tested most deeply. Strengthen my will to walk away from whatever cheapens my soul. Strengthen my love for what is pure, even when impurity offers instant gratification. Strengthen my mind to recognize deception that wears the disguise of wisdom. And when I stand at the crossroads of compromise, let my heart remember that pleasing you is worth more than pleasing anyone else. Father, help me to live by conviction, not by convenience. Let my words remain true, even when falsehoods would be more accepted. Let my actions be consistent with what I claim to believe. Let my life reflect your values, not just in church or prayer, but in every decision, every relationship, every moment when no one is watching. I pray not only for myself, but for all who feel wary from resisting the current of compromise. For those in positions where standing firm has cost them friendships, opportunities, or favor. For those who feel alone in their refusal to yield, remind them, Lord, that you see their faithfulness. Remind them that compromise may offer ease, but it never offers peace. And remind them that their stand is not in vain. It is part of a bigger story, part of a deeper calling, part of a holy resistance that honors you. Teach me, Father, that resistance is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like a quiet no in a noisy room. Sometimes it looks like staying when everyone walks away, or walking away when everyone else stays. Let me resist not with anger, but with grace, not with pride, but with peace. Let my resistance be rooted not in fear of failure, but in love for your truth. Lord, help me navigate the complex places, the gray spaces, where the right path is not obvious. Give me discernment that is sharper than emotion. Give me wisdom that is deeper than instinct. Give me clarity that does not come from crowd approval, but from communion with you. And even when the cost is high, help me remember that you are worth every sacrifice. Father, Let my faith not be something I hide in fear of conflict, but something I carry boldly in every space I enter. Let it not be diluted by the pressure to blend in, but refined by the choice to stand apart. Let it shine not as perfection, but as devotion, not as judgment, but as conviction clothed in mercy. Father, as I continue praying from a place of steadfastness, where compromise is resisted and convictions are honored, I cannot ignore the moments when I did not stand as I should have, even with all my intentions to remain faithful. There have been times when I faltered, when I gave in, gave up, or simply drifted away from what I knew to be right. And so this morning, I bring you the weight of failure, not to hide it, not to deny it, but to place it fully into your hands. Father, you know every place where I have fallen short. You see the cracks in the choices I made, the silence when I should have spoken, the retreat when I was called to stand. You know the thoughts I regret, the words I wish I could take back, the moments I replay in my mind hoping for a different outcome. And yet, even with all of this, you do not turn away. You meet me in my failure not with condemnation, but with mercy that refuses to leave me there. I confess, Lord, that failure often speaks louder than truth. It tells me that I am no longer worthy, that I have missed my chance, that I am disqualified from what you once planned for me. But deep down, I know those voices do not come from you. Your voice is steady, patient, kind. You remind me that the story is not over just because I stumbled. You remind me that grace was never for the flawless, but for the fallen who choose to rise again. This morning I ask for the courage to get back up, not pretending that nothing happened, not excusing my mistakes, but standing because you offer restoration. I want to move forward not in shame, but in renewal. Let your forgiveness not just cleanse me, but also reawaken purpose. Let me believe again in the future you have prepared. Even when the past has tried to convince me I forfeited it. Father, I think of those who failed and still became vessels of your glory. The one who denied you but was later entrusted to feed your sheep. The one who doubted but touched your wounds and believed again. The one who ran away but was welcomed back home with a robe and a feast. None of them were perfect, yet you still called their names. You still used their lives. You still wrote beauty into the brokenness. Do that in me. Lord, I surrender the weight of regret. I surrender the guilt that tries to steal my peace. I surrender the lie that I must fix everything before I can pray again. Help me to see that rising is not about proving myself. It is about resting in what you have already done for me. Let your grace be the ground beneath my feet. Let your mercy be the hand that lifts me from the dust. Teach me, Father, that failure does not define my identity. My worth is not based on my record, but on your love. My calling is not erased by my weakness, but reaffirmed by your power. Even when I fall, I am still yours. Even when I fall, you are still with me. Let that truth become the anchor of my healing, the reason I try again, the hope that calls me forward. Today, I take small steps not with the pride of someone who never fell, but with the humility of one who knows what it means to be restored. I pray with trembling, but I pray. I hope with scars, but I hope. I serve with lessons learned in failure as shadow, and in that place, I find you not disappointed, but waiting. Dear Heavenly Father, I pray for others who are carrying their own sense of failure this morning. Those who feel like they have gone too far, waited too long, or broken too much. Let them know you still see them. Let them know you still want them. Let them know that falling down is never the end when grace is present. Give them the strength to stand, even if it is slow. Let them feel the freedom to breathe again, to love again, to believe again. Help me become someone who restores, not someone who reminds others of their failure. Let my story, with all its flaws, become an invitation for others to come home. Let my life speak of a God who lifts the fallen and writes new chapters where others would place a period. Let me carry restoration in my words, in my presence, in the way I treat those who are still on the ground. Father, I thank you for not giving up on me, for pursuing me even when I turned away, for speaking gently when I was buried in shame, for walking with me through the consequences and still calling me your child. Your love is not fragile. Your grace is not limited. Your mercy is not earned. And that is why I can rise again, not because I deserve it, but because you are who you say you are. Father, after rising from failure with a heart restored by mercy, I find myself needing not only forgiveness but also shelter, because even as I stand again, I know that life does not pause to let me catch my breath. Troubles come, distractions press in, voices compete for my attention, and my heart seeks a place to rest that nothing in this world can truly offer. And so this morning, Father, I run into the only place that cannot be shaken. I run into the safety of your presence. You are not distant. You are not behind locked doors. You are not reserved for moments when I have done everything right. You are present here, now, as real as the breath I inhale and the silence between each word. You are my refuge, not just a thought I whisper when I am afraid, but a fortress built by your own hand, where my soul can hide and my mind can breathe. I do not need to perform to be welcomed in. I simply need to come. Father, this world offers me many places to turn when I feel exposed or overwhelmed, but none of them last. Temporary comforts fade. False securities crack. The noise never truly stops. But when I step into the quiet with you, I remember that peace is not found in escape, but in encounter. You do not just calm the storm around me. You calm the storm within me. I come to you not only for protection, but for renewal. Because even though I am standing again, I still feel fragile. Some days I feel strong on the outside, but empty on the inside. I smile. I keep going. I do what is needed, but underneath, I am still carrying weights I do not know how to lay down. So I bring them here, into this safe place with you. I bring the tension in my chest, the questions in my mind, the weariness in my bones, and I wait. Lord, remind me that your presence is not far away. It is not reserved for mountaintop moments or perfect prayers. It is available in the stillness of a morning like this one, in the quiet before the world awakens, in the ordinary space where coffee brews and light spills through the window. You meet me here not as an idea, but as a person. You are my sanctuary in the middle of real life. Father, I ask that you would build a fortress inside my spirit, a dwelling place for your peace, a refuge made not of stone but of stillness, trust, and worship. Let it rise brick by brick each time I choose to pause instead of panic, to listen instead of worry, to worship instead of fear. Let it become a place I return to often, not just in crisis but in routine, a holy habit, a rhythm of abiding. You said that you are my hiding place, that you surround me with songs of deliverance, that you lift my head when I am bowed low. I hold on to those promises now. Let them not just live in my memory, but shape how I live this day. When the world demands my energy, let me retreat for a moment and remember that my strength flows from your presence, not from my performance. Father, I know there will be moments today when I feel exposed again, when words hit harder than they should, when expectations weigh more than I can carry, when interruptions throw off my balance. In those moments, remind me to return to this fortress not physically, but inwardly. Let me pause and return to the center where you dwell, even if it is just for a breath, even if it is just a whispered prayer. Let that be enough to steady me again. I pray not only for myself, but for others who need the covering of your presence today. For those walking through grief and feel like the world keeps spinning without them. For those drowning in responsibility and silently breaking beneath the surface. For those longing for someone to understand, be their fortress too. Father, let them feel held, known, and sheltered even if no one else sees the battles they are fighting. Teach us to carry your presence with us, not like something fragile we might drop, but like something alive within us that cannot be taken. Let your spirit become our constant companion, reminding us that we are never without protection. Even in places of chaos, we are surrounded. Even when we feel small, we are covered. Even when we do not have words, we are heard. Father, I thank you that your presence is not just a retreat, it is a foundation. I do not stay hidden forever. You strengthen me here so I can walk forward again. You give me rest so I can offer rest to others. You give me peace not just to enjoy, but to carry. Let this fortress become not just a hiding place, but a launching place where I rise not in fear, but in confidence, because I know who goes with me. Father, let this day be shaped by the nearness of you. Let me carry this inner sanctuary everywhere I go. Let it affect how I speak, how I listen, how I decide, and how I wait. Let it be the reason I walk through today, not hurried, not hardened, not fearful but grounded, gentle, and steady. Father, as I step out from the stillness of your presence, where my soul has been sheltered and strengthened, I know that peace within does not always mean peace around me. The world outside your sanctuary still holds resistance. There are forces, voices, and pressures that rise to oppose what you are building within me. And so this morning, Father, I ask not only for rest but for endurance, not only for comfort but for courage that lasts when I am tested. I feel the weight of opposition, not always in dramatic confrontations, but often in the slow wearing down of my resolve, in the constant pull to give less than my best, in the subtle temptation to settle for what is easy instead of pressing forward in what is right. Endurance, I am learning, is not flashy. It is not loud. It is the quiet decision to keep going when everything in me wants to stop. Father, I admit that I sometimes grow tired not just physically, but inwardly. There are days when I want to lay down my effort, not because the task is impossible, but because the opposition feels relentless. I grow weary when results take longer than I hoped. I feel resistance when I try to live with integrity, when I try to love patiently, when I speak truth in places where silence is more welcome. And yet I know that this weariness is not a sign to quit, it is a sign to lean deeper into you. You are the God who strengthens the weary, the one who does not grow tired or faint. You promised that those who wait on you would renew their strength and rise with wings like eagles. I hold that promise close this morning. Let my endurance be rooted not in willpower, but in the steady flow of grace you provide. When I come to the end of myself, let that be the place where you begin again in me. Father, help me to recognize that opposition is not always a sign that I am doing something wrong. Sometimes it is confirmation that I am walking the right path. Even the ground that resists my steps may be the very place you have called me to till, to plant, to fight for, or to remain. Teach me not to run when things become difficult. Teach me to stay when staying builds something eternal. I think of those who endured before me, those who held their post when others abandoned theirs, those who kept building while mockers jeered, those who stood their ground when threats surrounded them. Their legacy was not one of ease, but of faithfulness, not of immediate reward, but of enduring strength. Let me follow in their footsteps, not because I long for hardship, but because I long to finish well. Lord, opposition reveals what is truly inside of me. It exposes whether my convictions are surface deep or soul anchored. Let me not be shaken by resistance, but refined by it. Let it press me closer to you. Let it strip away the things that are weak and awaken the strength that has been buried too long. Even if I tremble, let me stand. Father, I pray for those who are facing opposition this morning, not just from the outside, but also from within. For the one who is doubting their purpose, for the one who feels overwhelmed by criticism or conflict, for the one who is exhausted by spiritual battles that have lasted longer than they ever imagined. Strengthen them. Remind them that they are not alone, not forgotten, not losing. Remind them that endurance is not failure, it is faith in motion. I ask that you help me pace myself in the race you have given me. Let me not burn out trying to prove something. Let me not compare my lane to someone else's. Let me not sprint when you are calling me to walk. Give me a rhythm of perseverance, where consistency is more important than speed, where faithfulness outlasts applause, where fruit grows not in the spotlight, but in the soil of persistence. And when the opposition seems stronger than I am, let me remember that I was never meant to endure alone. You are my companion in the fire, my defender in the crowd, my strength when I have nothing left. I do not endure by gritting my teeth. I endure by trusting that you go before me, stand beside me, and cover me from behind. Father, let today be a day where I choose endurance over escape, where I remain engaged even when withdrawal feels easier, where I stay soft even when hardness seems like protection. Let me press forward not with frustration, but with quiet determination. Let my perseverance be an act of worship. Let it be a testimony to those watching. Let it speak of a God who is worth the struggle. Father, remind me that every act of endurance is seen by you. Every moment I resist the urge to give up is marked in heaven. Every seed I plant in faith will bear fruit in its season. Let that truth be enough to keep me standing when nothing else is. Father, just as I have stood firm against resistance with your strength, I now arrive at the softer but heavier threshold of forgiveness. Endurance may wear down my outer defenses, but forgiveness reaches into the deep places where hurt lingers, where memory still bleeds, where trust once lived and was broken. Father, it is here that I realize endurance without forgiveness hardens the heart, while forgiveness restores it. You have called me to keep walking, but sometimes I find myself tethered by invisible chains, unspoken resentments. Unresolved offenses. Unhealed wounds. I carry them like invisible weights, and I confess that I have held on longer than I should. Sometimes it feels safer to keep score than to surrender. Sometimes the pain of what they did feels more real than the possibility of peace. And yet, I hear your voice inviting me to let go not for their sake, but for mine. Father, I remember that you forgave me first, before I ever knew how deeply I had fallen short. You had already prepared the path back to you. You did not wait for me to apologize before you extended mercy. You did not demand restitution before you welcomed me home. Your forgiveness was not a negotiation, it was a gift. And if I have received it freely, how can I withhold it from others? Still, I do not want to pretend that forgiveness is easy. There are names I still hesitate to whisper. There are moments I still replay, trying to make sense of the damage. There are apologies I never received and likely never will. But forgiveness, I am learning, is not about pretending the pain never happened. It is about choosing not to let the pain define who I am or who I will become. It is not about forgetting, it is about being free. Father, help me see forgiveness not as weakness, but as strength. It is a strength that resists the need to retaliate. A strength that breaks the cycle of bitterness. A strength that chooses peace over pride. Let me not be deceived by the world's idea that holding a grudge is power. There is no power in poison, but there is immense power in release, in walking unburdened, in waking up without the shadow of yesterday clouding today. I ask you now, with trembling honesty, to search my heart. Show me who I need to forgive. Bring to light the names I have buried, the moments I have dismissed, the grievances I have nurtured like armor, not to shame me, but to set me free, not to reopen wounds, but to begin healing. If I cannot yet say the words, then teach me how to mean them. If I cannot yet feel release, then begin it with a whisper. Dear Father, I also need to ask for forgiveness, not just from you, though that is always where I return, but from those I have hurt knowingly or unknowingly. I see now that I, too, have left marks behind that my impatience, my silence, my pride, or my carelessness may have wounded someone in ways I never saw. If there are bridges that can still be repaired, give me humility to take the first step. If not, give me peace in the surrender. Forgiveness, you have shown me, is not a transaction. It is a transformation. It changes the one who offers it as much as the one who receives it. It does not always restore the relationship, but it always restores the soul. I want to live with a soul unbound. I want to walk into the future without dragging the chains of the past. I want to be a peacemaker in a world at war within itself. Let it begin with me. And Father, let me not stop at personal forgiveness. Expand my heart to forgive in greater ways, to release anger toward groups I do not understand, to let go of judgments I have made without compassion, to stop carrying the bitterness of history that was never mine to avenge. Teach me how to live in the present, in the mercy of each moment, instead of being haunted by what I cannot change. You are the God of fresh starts, the one who says, "Behold, I make all things new. Let this day be a new beginning in me," not by erasing what has been, but by redeeming it. Let even my hardest memories become soil where grace grows. Let what once hurt become a testimony of healing. Let my life speak of freedom, not just in words, but in posture, in peace, in how I love the ones who least deserve it, because I was once the same. Father, give me the courage to forgive fully, the humility to be forgiven, and the wisdom to know the difference between forgetting and being free. This is the work of a lifetime, and I may have to do it again and again, but I know you are patient with my process. You are not rushing me. You are not condemning me for being slow to release. You are simply inviting me, gently but consistently, into the kind of life that no bitterness can choke and no wound can imprison. So I take one more step today, one more layer peeled back, one more knot loosened, one more name handed over to your mercy, and in doing so, I come closer not just to peace but to you. Father, after learning the weight and beauty of forgiveness, my heart feels lighter, but not untouched. The residue of disappointment still lingers in quiet corners, those silent echoes of prayers that seemed unanswered, dreams that dissolved, and plans that fell apart before they had a chance to unfold. I bring those moments to you now, not as accusations, but as offerings. I lay them down gently, asking not for explanations, but for hope to rise again where trust has grown tired. It is difficult, Father, to believe again after believing once and seeing nothing change. To hope again after hoping with all my might, only to face closed doors or unexpected detours. I find myself flinching at joy, suspicious of good news, hesitant to expect anything lest I be let down. But I know that is not how you created me to live. I was not made for cautious hope, but for confident trust in your goodness, even when the path is not straight and the answers are delayed. Father, help me remember that disappointment is not a destination. It is a season, a moment, a shadow that may fall but not forever. Remind me that the ending I feared is not the end you designed, that what looks like silence may be sacred preparation, that behind every no, There may be a greater yes I cannot yet comprehend. Let me not confuse delay with denial or detour with abandonment. You are not a God who toys with hearts. You do not dangle hope like a mirage only to disappear when I draw close. You are the steady one, even when my emotions shift like the wind. You are the faithful one, even when I lose sight of what faith feels like. When I retreat in sorrow, you do not shame me for my disappointment. Instead, you meet me in it, whispering gently that it is safe to hope again. Father, I bring you the places where my hope has dimmed. I confess the things I stopped praying for because I was afraid to be hurt again. The healing I no longer believed would come. The relationship I stopped lifting to you. The vision I once carried with passion that now feels like ashes in my hands. Breathe on those ashes, Lord. Let your spirit stir something in the ruins. A flicker, a seed, a beginning. Help me hope without demanding outcomes. Teach me to separate hope from control. Let my hope rest not in what I wish to happen, but in who you are unchanging, ever good, infinitely wise. If you withhold something, it is not because you are cruel, because you see further than I do. If you close one path, it is not to punish me, but to preserve me. Teach me to trust your reroutes as much as I would have trusted your yes. Father, let me find the courage to hope in small ways again, to get up and keep moving even when nothing feels resolved, to laugh without the weight of fear, to love again without walls, to make room in my soul for unexpected blessings. I do not want to live guarded. I do not want to be ruled by the memory of disappointment. I want to walk free, not free from pain, but free from its final word. And when I look at others who seem to receive easily what I have waited for in tears, keep me from bitterness. Let their joy not threaten mine. Let their answered prayers not make me question my worth. Instead, turn my heart toward gratitude, not comparison. Let me celebrate with others, even while I wait. Let me give kindness without cynicism. Let me speak life into others, dreams even when mine are still forming. I know, Father, that hope is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet endurance. Sometimes it is simply showing up. Sometimes it is whispering a prayer with shaky hands. Let that be enough for now. Let the act of not giving up be its own declaration of hope. And let every moment I refuse to sink into despair become a victory, even if no one sees it but you. You are the God of all comfort, and you are also the God of new beginnings. I trust you to hold both my sorrow and my hope in the same gentle hands. I trust you to write a story that makes even the broken chapters part of the beauty. I trust you to redeem what I thought was lost. I trust you to resurrect joy where disappointment once reigned. Father, even when I cannot see the road ahead, I choose to walk forward, not because I know the outcome, but because I know you. Even when my heart feels fragile, I offer it back to you again and again. Heal the cracks that disappointment left. Fill the spaces that fear tried to occupy. Let me wake each day with a heart more open the day before. Today, I choose hope not because life has become easier, but because you are still God. Today, I open my hands again, not clenched around disappointment, but open to whatever you will place there, even if it is not what I expected, even if it looks nothing like the picture I had in mind. Let me find the wonder of discovering that what you have planned may be different, but always better, always deeper, always worth the wait. Father, sometimes the silence from heaven feels louder than any storm. Come to you today with a heart that longs to hear you, to feel you, to know that you are near. But even as I reach out, there are moments when all I can sense is stillness. And yet, I choose to speak to you, because silence does not mean absence, and stillness does not mean you have turned away from the quiet. I bring my soul, trembling yet open, hoping for a whisper, a sign, or even just the comfort of knowing you are listening. The last chapter of my prayer left me clutching hope after disappointment. And now I stand still in the middle of what feels like a divine pause, waiting not just for answers, but for presence. I know, Father, that your silence is not without meaning. Sometimes it is in the silence that you do the deepest work within us. The seed grows in darkness before it ever reaches the light. And so, even as I sit in the hush of unanswered prayers, I am learning to believe that you are still at work beneath the surface, beyond what I can see, building in me a foundation that will not be shaken. Still, my soul groans for you, Lord. I need the reassurance that I am not alone in this waiting room of faith. I think of the stories in Scripture of Job, who cried out from the ash heap, and yet you did not answer until the whirlwind. Of David, who wept into his pillow, writing psalms that still echo the longing of the silent soul. Of Jesus in Gethsemane, asking for the cup to pass, met not with rescue but with resolve. And if even they walked through silence and were not abandoned, then surely I too can endure this space with you. I hold fast to the truth that even when you are quiet, you are not far. My faith does not rest on feelings, but on the steadfastness of your character. Father, in the quiet, help me to listen more than I speak. Help me to lean into the stillness instead of resisting it. Let me sit with you, not demanding signs, but simply being with you. Perhaps it is in this place that intimacy grows deeper, when I stop striving and simply rest. Teach me that trust does not require constant reassurance, that love does not need loud declarations to be real, that your presence is not proven only by miracles, but by the peace that surpasses understanding. Still, I confess, it is hard when prayers go unanswered and days stretch into nights with no sign. It is tempting to doubt, to question whether I have been forgotten. But you, O God, never sleep nor slumber. You are the watcher of my soul. You are the one who records my tears and keeps track of every sigh, even in silence. You are attentive, even in stillness. You are compassionate. So I will not give up speaking to you, even when you do not reply the way I long for. My words may float like vapor into the heavens, but I believe they land in your heart. Father, you are still God in the silence, and though I do not understand why this quiet stretches long, I choose to believe it holds purpose. Maybe it is refining my motives. Maybe it is deepening my hunger. Maybe it is shaping me into someone who seeks you not just for answers, but for you alone. I am learning that silence does not have to feel like punishment. It can be preparation. It can be the holy ground where trust is forged in the fire of uncertainty. Help me to remember, Lord, that even when you are silent, your word is not. I still have your promises written like stars in the night sky, each one a reminder that you are faithful. I still have the memory of moments when you did speak, when you did move, when you did make a way. These are my stones of remembrance. I will hold them tightly now and recount them when the silence tries to lie to me. Your voice may not thunder, but your faithfulness never fades. Father, show me how to praise you in the quiet, not just when the music is loud and the miracles are visible, but in the solitude of a silent heart. Teach me the strength of worship that does not depend on feelings. Let my devotion be deeper than my emotions, and let my trust be taller than my doubts. In the pause, let me plant seeds of praise that will bloom in due season. There is beauty in the stillness. I am beginning to see, like the morning dew that settles quietly on the grass. Your mercies arrive without announcement, like the sun that rises slowly but surely. Your faithfulness dawns even on the days I feel forgotten. Thank you for staying close, even when I cannot hear you. Thank you for loving me enough to let me grow in the dark. Thank you for believing in who I am becoming, even when I feel unsure of who I am. This season of silence will not last forever. I know that, but even if it lingers, I will choose to believe that you are still here. Still good. Still working. I will keep showing up, morning after morning, whispering my heart into the stillness, because I believe that the God who made the stars also hears the quietest prayer. I believe that you are not only the God who speaks, but also the God who listens. And sometimes that is enough. So, Father, I will rest in this silence, not with fear, but with faith. I will sit beside you in the unseen, believing that something holy is happening beneath the hush. The silence is not empty. It is full of your presence. I do not need to hear you to trust you. I only need to remember who you are, and that you never leave, even when you feel silent. You are still speaking through your love. Father, even as the silence still lingers in the quiet corners of my heart, I find myself reaching into the well of memory where you once spoke with thunder and moved with fire. I remember, Father, I remember when my prayers did not fall into stillness, but rose on wings of response. I remember the days when answers seemed to arrive before the questions were finished, when miracles were not concepts but lived realities. And even now, though your voice seems faint and far away, my soul clings to those sacred echoes like lifelines tossed across a vast and restless sea. It is not delusion or nostalgia that stirs these memories, but something deeper, something truer, a whisper that tells me you have not changed. Though circumstances shift and emotions fail me, you are the same God who parted waters, who walked on waves, who wept over loss and rose with power. You are the same Father who comforted me in the midnight hours when grief made breathing feel like a burden. The same one who whispered to my soul that I was still worthy when shame had painted me unrecognizable. I remember, and in remembering, I begin to breathe again. There is strength in remembering, not the kind that flexes with pride, but the kind that steadies trembling hands and lifts weary heads. It is the kind that turns tears into testimonies and brokenness into altars. It is remembering who you are that reminds me who I am, not the labels the world has given me, not the failures I have accumulated, but the child you once called beloved. Father, when I lose myself in confusion, bring to mind the moments you found me. When I doubt you, show me again the footprints of where you have walked with me before. Because I have seen you in the little things, too, in the sunrise that broke through after nights of anguish, in the unexpected phone call that reminded me I was not forgotten, in the verse I stumbled on that felt written just for me, in the warmth of laughter when sorrow should be reigned. You were there, not always loud, not always obvious, but always present. And though today may feel heavy and uncertain, I know that my story is not one of abandonment, but of abiding, not of being lost, but of being led even through shadows. Help me, Father, to build altars of remembrance in my soul, not to worship the past, but to remind myself that you have never failed. Let each memory be a stone, solid and unshaken, testifying to your faithfulness. Let my heart become a sanctuary of sacred echoes, so that even when doubt shouts louder than truth, I can anchor myself in what I have seen you do. When the future frightens me, let the past remind me, you have been good. You have been near. You have been God. Let me remember not just the dramatic rescues, but the quiet preservations, not only the mountaintop encounters, but the sustaining grace in valleys where my strength ran dry. I remember when I could not speak, but you understood my silence. When I could not walk, but you carried me. When I could not pray, but you listened to my tears. When I could not hope, but you held hope for me. Father, what mercy to be loved so completely, so patiently. What grace to be remembered even when I forget myself. And now, in this present moment, when answers seem scarce and clarity feels out of reach, I will choose to remember. I will remember that waiting is not wasting, that silence is not absence, that uncertainty is not abandonment. I will remember that even now, you are weaving something holy from threads I do not yet see. I will remember that you are the author of my story, and though I may be stuck in a painful chapter, you hold the pen, you see the whole arc, you know how it ends, and you are not nervous. So, Father, let remembrance be my worship. Let it be the incense that rises from my altar today. Let it be the melody that drowns out fear and the rhythm that steadies my soul. Let me remember who I was when I first met you, so full of wonder, so hungry for truth. Let me remember that first love, not with guilt for how I have changed, but with gratitude that you never have. You are still the same Father who met me there, and you are here even now. Bring to my mind, Holy One, the moments that mattered. Let them stand tall in my spirit like monuments to mercy. When despair tries to cloud my vision, let memory become the lantern that lights my path. When questions rise like storms, let testimonies anchor me. And when I am tempted to think you have gone quiet forever, let the past shout back, reminding me that you are never gone. only working in the hidden places. You are the gardener, tending unseen roots. You are the sculptor, shaping what I cannot yet perceive. You are the composer, writing a movement I have yet to hear. Thank you, Father, for the gift of memory, for the strength it brings, for the healing it stirs, for the hope it revives. Thank you that my history is not just pain and failure, but grace and evidence. Let remembrance become my courage. Let it pull me through this season. Let it be the soil where trust takes root again. Because if you were faithful then, you will be faithful now. And so I breathe deep. I steady my spirit. I reach back, not to cling, but to be reminded. And as I remember, I find peace. As I recall, I find strength. As I whisper back the stories of what you have done, something inside me stirs something ancient. Something true. Faith awakens. Hope stretches, and I begin to believe again. Not just in what you can do, but in who you are. The God who remembers me when I forget you. The Father who never lets go, even when I loosen my grip. The one who walks with me still, even when I cannot feel the footsteps. Father, in the quiet that follows remembrance, I find something stirring small, faint, but unmistakably alive. It is not loud like a revelation or bright like a miracle, but it is steady like the heartbeat I forgot was still there. After walking through memories of your faithfulness, something within me has started to rebuild, to realign, to rise from the inner ruins. And so I come to you now not as one fully restored, but as one willing to be rebuilt. I do not bring strength today, I bring surrender. Because strength, real strength, begins where pride ends. And you, Father, are not asking me to pretend I am strong. You are asking me to bring the broken pieces and place them in your hands. You are not interested in polished surfaces or flawless masks. You want truth, even if it is trembling. So here is my truth. I feel fragile. I feel wary. I feel uncertain. But I also feel something sacred beginning again. And that is enough for today. I do not have to leap to the finish line. I only need to take one step toward wholeness. I only need to breathe without shame. I only need to let my weakness be known so that your strength can be shown. And when I think about rebuilding, I realize it does not mean going back to who I was. It means becoming who I was always meant to be strong. Not because I never fall, but because I keep rising with you. Father, you have always been the builder of the unseen. You crafted galaxies in silence and life from dust. So surely you can build something new in me. Something deeper than the strength I used to fake. Something kinder than the harsh inner voice I listened to. Something sturdier than the shifting foundation of what others think of me. Build me, not in the image of perfection, but in the image of grace. I have learned that inner strength is not about hiding the cracks. It is about letting light shine through them. It is about embracing what once broke me and daring to believe that it can become a doorway to deeper compassion, empathy, and courage. You, Father, are the master of such transformations. You take the shattered and make it sacred. You take the bruised and make it beautiful. You take the weary and make them warriors. So begin here, in this quiet space. Begin with the tired parts of me. Begin with the H I carry but rarely speak of. Begin with the lies I have believed for too long, the ones that say, I am not enough, I am too much, I am beyond repair. Speak truth into those places, and let your word become my new foundation. Let every echo of shame be replaced by whispers of identity rooted in you. Rebuilding inner strength is not about rushing. It is about remaining. Remaining in your presence, remaining in truth, remaining even when the progress feels invisible. I used to think strength was proven in action, but now I see it as cultivated in stillness. In those sacred moments when I choose not to give up, when I choose to speak life over myself, when I choose to come back to you again and again, without needing a perfect prayer, only an honest one. And Father, I trust that you are rebuilding me with intentionality, that you are not in a hurry, and I do not need to be either. I trust that what you rebuild will be more resilient, more real, more rooted, not a replica of past versions of me, but a new creation molded by fire and shaped by love. I trust that what you are doing inside me, though unseen by others, is sacred work. And even if no one else notices the strength being formed within me, you see it, you celebrate it, you call it good. Let this be the chapter where I choose courage, not the loud kind, but the quiet kind. The kind that wakes up and tries again. The kind that says yes to healing. The kind that lets go of what no longer serves and makes space for what is holy. Let this be the chapter where I speak kindly to myself, where I honor the small steps, where I stop waiting to feel strong and start practicing the strength that begins with showing up. I will not rebuild alone. I cannot, but I do not have to. You are here, not just as a silent observer, but as a co-laborer, a faithful architect. You are placing truth like bricks, hope like mortar, grace like scaffolding. You are not overwhelmed by the scale of this rebuild. You saw it coming, and you already prepared the tools. And while others may see delay, you see foundation. You are not wasting time. You are forming something eternal. Father, teach me to trust the slow work. Teach me to rest when needed, not as weakness but as wisdom. Teach me to ask for help, to open my hands, to release the illusion of control. Teach me that every breath I take in surrender is a stone laid in the house of resilience. Let my inner strength grow not by force, but by faith. I know now that strength is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of perseverance. It is not built in comfort, but in communion with you. It is not about feeling fearless, but about moving forward in spite of fear, knowing that you go before me, beside me, within me. And when the day comes that others ask where this strength came from, I will not boast in myself. I will say, it came from the hands that never stopped holding me. So I give you today's progress, even if it looks like standing still. I give you today's doubt, knowing you are not threatened by my questions. I give you today's hope, fragile but flickering. Build with these. Father, make something beautiful again. Let the ruins speak of resurrection. Let the H become the anthem. Let the weary soul become a well of quiet strength. Father, I bring this heart to you again, bruised in the same places, sore from wounds that never seem to heal completely. And yet, as the echoes of yesterday still stir in my spirit, I feel you calling me to something deeper, not to just carry the pain, but to release it. Father, I have carried sorrow like a familiar weight, worn grief like an old garment, and held disappointment close as though it were part of who I am. But now, I begin to see it differently. The pain I have held is not my identity. It is not my name. It is not your will for me to live shackled by what has broken me. As I reflect on what I have lost, what has been taken, and what I have given away, I feel the trembling invitation to loosen my grip on those things that hurt me. It is not easy. Father, letting go feels like surrendering a part of myself. Sometimes, my pain has been the only thing I could trust to stay. It was constant, predictable, and in a strange way, it gave structure to the mess. But now I see that you are asking for it. You are not demanding I fix it or explain it, or even fully understand it. You are just gently extending your hands and asking, will you give it to me? And in that moment, in that quiet space between memory and movement, I want to say yes. So here, Father, is my sorrow. Here are the tears I never cried but always felt. Here are the silent disappointments that kept me up at night. The things I did not say. The goodbyes I never got to give. The love that was not returned. The words that cut too deeply to forget. Here are the stories I rehearsed in my mind, rewriting endings that never came true. I bring them all to you. I lay them down not with bitterness, but with trust. Trust that you know what to do with them. Trust that you can redeem even this. Help me, Father, to untangle my heart from what has entangled it. Sometimes, I confuse remembering with clinging, but I do not want to build a home in grief. I want to walk through the valley, not pitch my tent there. I want to believe again in joy that is not built on pretending but on healing. I want to learn how to breathe again without the heaviness of resentment pressing on my chest. I want to be light again, free again, whole again, not because the past never happened, but because you met me in it and taught me how to rise. I confess, Father, there are names I still hold tightly, situations I still replay, and outcomes I still grieve. I confess that I sometimes wonder what justice looks like, and whether the things that hurt me will ever be seen or acknowledged. But then I remember, you are not only the God who hears, but the God who heals. And healing does not always come from answers. It comes from presence, from knowing I am not alone in my H, from believing that you are not afraid of my truth. Even when I whisper it through clenched teeth, you come near, not to rebuke me for my weakness, but to remind me that you are strong in the places where I am not. So take this hurt, Lord. Take the sharp edges. Take the shadows that linger. Take the lies I believed in pain. And in their place, plant something new. Sow seeds of peace where anxiety once ruled. Pour grace into the cracks. Build something beautiful from the rubble, not a perfect monument to my past, but a living testimony of your mercy. Father, I release the person who did not say sorry. I release the words I should have heard but did not. I release the outcome I wanted but never received. I release the shame of how I handled it all. I release the regret of what I could have done differently. I release the need to understand everything. And in that letting go, I feel your hand steadier than the pain I was gripping. Your whisper is louder than my fears. Your promise more enduring than my scars. Teach me how to live without defining myself by what hurt me. Help me to tell my story without bitterness. Help me to forgive without pretending it did not hurt. Help me to remember without reliving. Help me to believe that this release is not the end of the story, but the beginning of something lighter. Something redemptive. Sangam, let me rest. Finally, in the knowledge that I do not have to fix what happened, that it is not mine to carry forever, that you are strong enough to carry what I can see, and if I drop it at your feet 1,000 times, you will never grow weary of lifting me up again. This is not about forgetting. This is about healing. This is not about being okay with what happened. This is about no longer being defined by it. It is about saying, even through tears, that I believe you are still good. It is about opening my hand again and again and saying, "Here, Father, take this too." So I do. In the stillness of this morning, with the golden light breaking over the horizon like a promise, I choose to release. I choose to believe that letting go is not weakness, but trust. That freedom is not forgetting, but surrender. That peace is not the absence of pain, but the presence of you. And in that, I find breath. In that, I find hope. In that, I find the strength to stand again, not in the strength of my own resolve, but in the grace that holds me when I am too tired to try. I walk forward, lighter than before, not because the wounds are erased, but because they are being transformed. And that is enough for today. Father, as I breathe in the quiet of this new morning, I realize how much trust it takes simply to wake up and keep going. After releasing what has hurt me, there is an emptiness I did not expect, a silence where the noise of pain once lived, a stillness where chaos used to stir, and in that space, something soft begins to whisper an invitation, not to rebuild the walls I tore down, but to build something new, something grounded not in fear, but in trust. And so, Father, I come to you now not just with wounds, but with this trembling desire to trust again. You know how hard it is for me. Trust has been broken before, not once, but many times. Promises were made and abandoned. People I leaned on stepped away when I needed them most. The ground beneath me gave way when I thought it was safe. So now, every step forward feels like a risk. And yet, I cannot live in fear forever. I cannot anchor myself to doubt. I long to trust again, not recklessly, but wholly, not in perfection, but in your goodness. Father, teach me how to open my heart without the shield of suspicion. Show me that trusting is not about pretending I won't be hurt again, but about believing that, even if I am, you will still hold me, Trust does not mean I ignore wisdom or discernment. It means I allow room for love to move again, for hope to speak again, for joy to enter. Unguarded. I want that, Lord. I want to live open, even if it means being vulnerable. I confess. I have placed my trust in the wrong things before. I have trusted my own strength, and it ran out. I have trusted people's words, and they changed. I have trusted in timing, only to be disappointed. But I want to shift now to real trust, to trusting you not just in theory, but in the small decisions of the day. Trusting that you know what I do not. Trusting that you see the full picture when I only see the frame. Trusting that you are weaving something beautiful, even when the thread feels tangled in my hands. So here I am, Father, with hands open again, not just to release, but to receive trust like a seed planted deep. I know it won't bloom overnight. I know it might sprout slow, tender and cautious, but I believe you will water it, that you will surround it with grace and protect it with peace. I will not rush this growth. I will not force it. I will simply show up each day and say, I trust you with this next breath. And that is enough to begin. Help me, Father, to trust your timing. When answers do not come as quickly as I hope, let me lean into patience, not panic. When doors remain closed longer than I expected, remind me that waiting is not wasting when it is in your hands. When plans shift and paths curve unexpectedly, help me to believe that you are not surprised, and you are still good. Teach me to trust you more than I trust outcomes, to trust your presence more than my predictions. I want to trust people again, too, not blindly, but bravely, to believe that not everyone will break what I offer, that relationships can be healed, that love can still be safe. I know not all hearts will hold mine gently, but I pray for the courage to offer it anyway, not because I expect perfection, but because I choose grace. I choose hope. I choose to believe that vulnerability is not weakness, but strength dressed in softness. Father, remind me that trusting again starts with trusting you. And when I doubt myself, when I hesitate and question whether I have it in me to risk again, remind me that I am not doing this alone. You walk with me, patient with every backward glance, steady with every faltering step. You are not rushing me. You are simply asking for my yes one day at a time. Today, I say yes. I choose to believe that healing leads to trust, and trust leads to life. I choose to believe that you are not calling me to build a fortress, but a garden. That my heart is not meant to be locked behind walls, but rooted in soil that is nourished by trust. I may not feel brave yet, but I am willing. And perhaps that is all you need, a willing heart, even if it still trembles. So I trust you, Father, with my past and with my future, with my story and with my scars, with the people I love and the ones I have lost, with the dreams I am still afraid to speak out loud, with the parts of me I do not understand yet. I trust that you are holding what I cannot, that you are building what I cannot see, that you are restoring what I thought was gone. Let this be my quiet offering today, not perfection, not certainty, but trust. Trust that you are in this moment, in this breath, in this gentle morning light. Trust that you are not distant, but near, not silent, but speaking in the stillness. Trust that you are enough for whatever comes next, and in that trust, may I begin again not from the brokenness of before, but from the beauty of believing that love can still be true, that peace can still be found, and that you, Father, will never let me fall beyond the reach of grace. Father, you know how delicate joy feels when life is uncertain. After learning to trust again, I find myself standing in a quieter place, where fear has lost some of its grip. And now, in this open space of the soul, I sense you inviting me towards something even deeper, something more defiant than happiness joy, not the fleeting kind that comes and goes with good news, but the steady, quiet flame that still burns when the winds rise. And so I come to you this morning, not asking for circumstances to change, but for the courage to choose joy even when it is hard. You see, Father, joy has not always been easy for me. Sometimes it feels like joy is only for those whose lives are overflowing, who have no burdens pressing against their ribs, who wake up with laughter already blooming. But you are teaching me that joy is not the absence of hardship. It is the presence of you, even in the middle of it. It is a bold decision to sing while the storm still lingers, to smile with tears still drying on my cheeks, to look for light while walking through shadowed valleys. You never said that joy would always feel natural, but you did promise that your joy would be our strength, that in your presence there is fullness of joy. So I ask now, Father, show me how to find you in the ordinary, in the sound of the kettle warming, in the softness of morning air, in the small kindness of someone holding the door, in the breath I just took without pain. Teach me that joy lives here too, not just in celebrations, but in the unnoticed moments you fill with grace. Joy is not always loud. Sometimes it is the quiet choice to stay grateful. Sometimes it is the resistance to bitterness. Sometimes it is the whisper in my spirit that says, even now, even here, something good can grow. I want that kind of joy. Father, the kind that does not depend on outcomes, the kind that blooms from faith. I want a joy that is not shallow or performative, but rooted in something unshakable. Some mornings, choosing joy feels like lifting something too heavy, but you meet me there, reminding me that I do not have to fake it. I do not have to wear joy like a mask. I can grow it, slowly. Honestly, I can wake up weary and still say, today, I will look for beauty. I can grieve and still hold joy in the same hands. You are showing me that joy and sorrow are not enemies. They are often companions, walking side by side, helping me see the fullness of life. Father, when my heart drifts toward despair, gently lead it back, not with force, but with the warmth of your promises. When I see all that is broken and feel overwhelmed, remind me of what is still whole. When the world feels heavy, help me to notice what is light: a bird's song, a child's laugh, the way the sun lingers on my skin. Teach me to stop waiting for everything to be okay before I let joy in. Joy does not need perfection. It needs presence. And you are always present. Let my joy become an act of rebellion against the darkness. Let it be a declaration that fear will not steal everything, that pain will not silence praise, that sorrow does not erase goodness. Let it be a light I carry, not because the road is easy, but because the light matters even more when the path grows dim. And let that light shine, not only for me, but for those around me who have forgotten what joy feels like. May my joy invite others back to hope. You are not asking me to deny reality. Father, you are asking me to see it fully and still believe in the beauty within it, to feel the sting and still say, there is still reason to rejoice, to acknowledge the H and still dance. Even if the dance is slow, this is not naive. It is sacred. It is holy defiance. And I want to live that kind of life, a life that lifts joy like a banner, even when the battle has not yet ended. I know joy will not always be easy. Some days it will feel far away. But I believe you are patient, that you will meet me wherever I am and gently lead me back to the river where joy flows again. Even if I only dip my toes today, it is enough. Even if all I can do is whisper thanks for one small thing, it is enough. Joy does not demand grand gestures. It asks for a heart that still believes something good is possible. So today, I choose joy, not because everything is perfect, but because you are present. Not because I have no pain, but because you promise peace that holds me through it. Not because I understand everything, but because I trust that you are working all things together. I choose joy because you are joy, and I choose you. Father, even as I learn to choose joy, I must also learn to live with your silence. And sometimes, with your answers that are not what I had hoped. Joy is beautiful, but it does not erase the H that still lingers when the prayer I whispered with all my heart is met with a not yet, or even more painfully, a no. And so I bring this H to you not to demand answers, but to be held in the questions, because I know you hear me. Even when you do not say what I want to hear, I know you are still near. Even when your nearness does not come with solutions, there is a strange and sacred space where unanswered prayers live. And Father, I find myself standing there now, between what I asked for and what you allowed, between what I thought would happen and what still has not come, between the hope I offered and the outcome I received. It is not easy to stay here, in this space of unresolved things. My human heart wants closure, clarity, certainty. But instead, I am left with tension, mystery, and a quiet whisper that tells me you are still good, that no is not rejection, but redirection, that your silence is not absence, but invitation, an invitation to trust deeper, not because I got my way, but because I believe you know a better way. Sometimes, Father, the pain of unanswered prayers feels louder than my faith. It wraps around my chest like a fog, making it hard to breathe. I remember the moments I cried out to you with trembling hands, fully believing you could change everything, and then watched as nothing changed. Or worse, as things became harder, I felt confusion rise in my spirit. If you love me, why not this? If you can, why did not you? But slowly, You teach me that faith is not proven when prayers are answered, but when they are not, and I still choose to walk with you. Faith grows roots when the light does not come, and I still get up and follow you into the dark. And in that darkness, I find something strangely tender, your steady hand, not always changing my circumstance, but changing me within it. I think of the stories I have read, the ones where your greatest work was done in the waiting, in the weeping, in the wilderness. I think of those who prayed for healing and did not receive it on earth, but were still given peace that surpassed understanding. I think of your Son, who in Gethsemane asked for the cup to pass, and yet surrendered to your will anyway. And I realize that sometimes the holiest thing I can do is whisper yes to your no. Help me not to build my faith only on blessings. Father, teach me to build it on your character, on the truth that you are love, even when life is not lovely, on the promise that you work all things, not just the good things, for the good of those who love you. Help me to believe that what you withhold is never meant to harm me, but to shape me, that your no is not cruelty, but mercy I do not yet understand. Even now, in the places that still ache, I choose to believe you are doing something beautiful beneath the surface. Maybe you are protecting me from something I cannot see. Maybe you are strengthening something in me that needs to grow. Maybe you are simply asking me to trust you in a way I never have before. And maybe that trust is the very thing that will carry me through everything else. It is hard. Father, I want to pretend otherwise, but I am learning that surrender is not giving up, it is letting go of my need to control and giving in to your wisdom. I am not defeated when I stop insisting. I am free to stop striving, free to stop measuring my worth by how many prayers are granted, free to rest in the truth that being loved by you does not mean always getting what I want. It means never walking alone, even when what I want is denied. So today, I bring the prayers that are still unanswered, the dreams that feel deferred, the longings that continue to wait at the door. I place them into your hands again, not as demands, but as offerings. I do not need you to explain. I just need you to stay, and I trust that you will, because you always do. Give me strength to live with disappointment without letting it harden my heart. Let me cry without shame. Let me feel the sting without losing hope. Let me release the grip on what I thought my life would look like, and instead open my hands to what you are building in its place. Let me see that even a no from you carries a promise of presence, of purpose, of peace. If the door stays closed, give me courage to walk away without resentment. If the answer is still no, let it not steal my joy. Let it not silence my worship. Let it not convince me you are less than good. Help me to remember that you are the God who gives and the God who withholds with equal wisdom, that nothing you allow or deny is wasted in your hands. I do not want a faith that only thrives in sunshine. I want a faith that survives the drought, that sings through the silence, that trusts you not just for what you do, but for who you are. And so today, even though the answer is still no, I will stay with you. I will keep showing up. I will keep praying, not because I expect to be rewarded, but because you are worthy, always worthy of my devotion, my trust, and my heart. Father, as this new morning gently unfolds and the quiet hush of dawn still clings to the earth, my heart turns toward you once again, not with fresh burdens, but with something far deeper memories. The journey of these past mornings, the quiet whisperings in the silence, the tears you saw though no one else did, the strength you poured into my bones when I thought I was done, all of it stirs within me now. And I realize that remembering is not simply looking back, but allowing your faithfulness to echo into the present. How quickly we forget, Father, when the storm passes, we forget who calmed it. When the mountain moves, we forget who moved it. But this morning, I do not want to forget. I want to remember every time you showed up, not in thunder or lightning, but in the still small voice. I want to remember the days I did not think I could make it, and somehow I did, not by my own might, but because you carried me. You never shouted. You just stayed, and in your staying, you saved me over and over again. This morning I trace back the lines of my life, not to count regrets or dwell in old wounds, but to gather stones of remembrance, like the ancients did by the Jordan, stones that say, "Here, right here, God met me. Here, God delivered me. Here, I wept. And here, He answered." The power of remembering is not nostalgia, it is anchoring myself in truth when feelings falter, and that truth is, you were there. You are still here. You will never leave. In this remembering, I see the pattern, not of coincidence, but of grace, not of random blessings, but of a Father weaving light into the darkest days. Even in the times I thought you were silent, I now see your fingerprints all over the outcome. Every delay had mercy hidden in it. Every closed door led me to the one you opened, and in every season, whether I saw fruit or only soil, you were cultivating something in me: faith, patience, depth, and humility. There is comfort in looking back, not to escape the present, but to strengthen my spine for what lies ahead. Because if you did it before, you will do it again. If you led me through that valley, you will lead me through this one. If you turned mourning into dancing once, who says you want to do it twice? You are the same yesterday, today, and forever. And my remembering breathes hope into my now. Father, remind me often, not because you forget, but because I do. Let me never grow numb to your mercies. Let me not treat as common what is holy. The days you healed me deserve praise today. The nights you held me should echo in my worship now. Every scar bears your name, not as a wound that defines me, but as proof that I was not destroyed. My survival is a testimony. My peace is a monument to your tenderness. I remember the quiet miracles, the bills that were somehow paid, the car that started just one more time, the friend who called at the exact moment I was about to give up, the unexpected kindness from a stranger. None of it was random. All of it was grace. And even the prayers that went unanswered, I now see as protection. Even the waiting became sacred when I saw what you were shaping in the silence. There were days I questioned your love. I repent for those days, not because you were angry, but because I know now you were grieving with me, not abandoning me. I questioned your nearness, but you were nearer than my breath. I doubted your timing, but you were never late. And as I remember these things, my soul settles, the anxiety quiets, the fog lifts, and the same God who was faithful then is faithful still. This remembrance is a sacred altar, and I lay my fear upon it. I place today's unknowns in the light of yesterday's miracles. I lift my eyes not just toward heaven, but toward the history of your goodness in my life. Let it shout louder than the voice of dread. Let it be the lens through which I see my present struggle. If you did not fail me then, you will not fail me now. Help me build this habit of holy remembering. Let it be my daily bread. Let it fuel my worship. Let it guard my heart when lies come whispering that I am alone, forgotten, or forsaken. Let my memory become a weapon against despair. Let it sing over me in the night seasons. Let it keep me grounded when everything else feels uncertain. Father, you are not just the God of this moment. You are the God of all my moments. From my first breath to this one, your hand has been steady. Your love has been consistent. Your mercy has been new every morning, even on mornings when I was too tired to notice. And today, I notice. I remember. I bow, not in fear, but in reverence, not in shame, but in gratitude. You have been too good to me to forget. Let my remembering birth new faith. Let my gratitude invite fresh hope, and let today's prayer be built upon the stones of yesterday's deliverance. Because when I remember what you have done, I cannot help but believe in what you will do. So I rise, not in weakness, but in remembrance. I step forward into this day, not blindly, but anchored in a past filled with your presence. And no matter what comes, I will choose to remember. I will choose to trust, because you are worth remembering. You are worth trusting. Always. Father, as I come to the quiet close of this morning's long journey, I do not feel like something has ended. I feel as though something has begun. These days of rising early, of sitting in silence, of whispering hope and letting tears fall freely into your hands have softened the soil of my soul. And now, with the light breaking across the horizon, I do not walk away from this time with you. I walk more deeply into it. This morning, there is no pressing request on my lips. There is no desperate plea for rescue, no stormy sea in need of calming. Instead, there is stillness, a reverent kind of stillness, a knowing that I am known, a peace that is not manufactured but received. And with that peace comes the realization that you are not only the God I cry out to in need, but the God I sit beside in contentment. I have spoken many words. Father, I have poured out longing, questions, brokenness, praise, confusion, and gratitude. And still, you have not turned away. You have remained steady and kind, listening not only to what I say, but to the H's beneath the surface. In this sacred space between sunrise and the bustle of life, I have met you, and I have found again the quiet courage to believe. Some days, this prayer felt like a lifeline. Other days, it felt like a seed buried in silence. But today, it feels like both, a thread connecting my heart to yours, and a seed whose roots now run deeper than I expected. These prayers have become part of my breathing. They have given shape to a new way of beginning each day with reverence, with surrender, with remembrance. I do not know what awaits me beyond this hour, but I no longer need to, because I know who is already there. You do not wait for me to finish praying before you begin moving. You are already in the place I will walk into next. And that is enough for me. Today, I carry not just words but transformation. I carry moments that changed me from within, not in dramatic bursts, but in quiet shifts. I carry a deeper awareness that you are not only in the high places, the breakthroughs and the miracles, but in the ordinary rhythms of life, in the laundry, in the laughter, in the long drives and the late nights. You are there. There were mornings when I felt numb, yet still I came. Mornings when I had nothing eloquent to offer, yet you received my silence as worship. Mornings when I wanted to quit, yet you waited patiently, letting love be the invitation that called me back. And now, at the closing of this journey, I see that the power was never in my words, it was in your presence. You met me faithfully, day after day, not because I earned it, not because I performed well enough, but simply because you are love, and love shows up. That truth has changed me more than any answer I thought I needed. And so now, I do not strive to impress you. I rest in you. I do not chase your attention. I receive it. Let these prayers continue long after the words fade. Let their echoes shape my thinking, my speaking, my walking. Let them be the undercurrent of my decisions, the pause in my reactions, the grace in my relationships. Let them draw me again and again to the stillness where I remember who I am and whose I am. Father, I thank you for every soul who has walked through this journey with me, for every heart that paused to breathe, to whisper, to believe again, whether in pain or peace, in clarity or confusion. They have chosen to come close, and I know you have drawn even closer. You are faithful not just to the one who speaks, but to the one who listens. You do not overlook the quiet heart. To the one who has felt unseen, may you remind them that you see. To the one who has felt forgotten, may you wrap them in remembrance. To the one who has carried sorrow alone, may they find comfort in knowing you have never left their side. And to the one who has waited long for breakthrough, may they feel your nearness more than they need the answer. This is not an ending. This is the continuation of a life woven with prayer, a life that wakes not with dread, but with a gentle expectancy. A life that looks for you in the morning light, in the rustle of leaves, in the smile of a stranger. A life that does not rush past the sacred, but pauses, breathes, and listens. And so, I thank you, not with finality, but with fullness. I thank you for the way you have met me, reshaped me, and walked with me through every hidden valley and unexpected joy. I thank you for the days I did not have the strength, and you became my strength. I thank you for the questions you have not yet answered, and the mysteries that draw me closer instead of pushing me away. May this morning become many mornings. May the posture of surrender remain even when my schedule fills again. May the voice that calls me to stillness never grow distant. And may I always return to this place, to this peace, to you, as the light stretches further across the sky and the hush of early day fades into the rhythm of responsibility. May the memory of this time linger, like the scent of rain after a storm, like the softness of a lullaby still playing in the soul, like the warmth of sunlight streaming through the window after a long night. This is not goodbye. It is a gentle beginning, a blessing carried not in hands, but in heart. And wherever this day leads, may it begin not with fear, but with the quiet certainty that I do not walk alone. Not now. Not ever. Thank you for walking with me through this prayerful journey. If this time has moved you, comforted you, or brought you closer to your own conversations with God, I invite you to share your thoughts or prayers in the comments below. Let this space continue to be one of encouragement and grace. And if these mornings have blessed you, please consider subscribing to the channel, sharing this video with others, and making space each day to begin again in faith. Like a gentle wind through the trees, like the first golden light of dawn touching the earth, may His presence go with you now and always.